the Game Award goes to Genshin Impact.
Welcome back to another episode of Hidden Gold's Messy Hair. So, Genshin Impact. What was one of the most amazing games that came out peak pandemic? Since there was nothing to do, you would consistently grind that game until the bone. Doing your dailies consistently, doing your best to pull for Venti, events that costed resin cap was at 120, good old terrible days. And you think to yourself, this game is going to be so interesting and fun to play for years on end. But here we are, not even version 3.8 yet, and most of us are already leaving two different games. Or just, touching grass. What happened for it to be this way? Genshin Impact was a new gacha game made by Chinese company MiHoYo on September 28th of 2020, which was again, peak pandemic season. It was one of the most successful launches for mobile games. You could even play it on your PC, your PlayStation, and even your Nintendo Switch! Oh, wait, that's right. It introduced us to the world of Teyvat, where magic and elements and interesting personalities were shown to us. It had an amazing story, unique gameplay, among so much more. And of course, the thing that made so much profit, the gacha system, where the first character to be featured was Venti, the Anemo Archon. Just its debut reached a total of $132 million in revenue. So there's a brief history of it. So now, let's take a look at what it has become today. What was once reaching 100 millions monthly has turned into around 54 million during the month of May. And many of Genshin's players were never to be seen again. So what happened? Well, the answer is very simple. New freezing you for 3-minute Spiral Abyss. Mid-tier events, in my opinion at least. Kaka Sumeru characters that don't outshine any old characters much. And the most heavy contributing factor in my opinion? Honkai Star Rail. Speaking of which, let's start with that. When Honkai Star Rail released, many players were intrigued to try this new turn-based gacha game, including me myself. It's honestly a really amazing game that you can spend a great amount of time on. Now because of Honkai Star Rail's release, and at the time Genshin already had its mid-tier events during this time, most of Genshin's players have also moved to try out Honkai Star Rail. But if you're someone that's played Genshin consistently before, you'll instantly notice that Honkai Star Rail just seems way more fun than Genshin has for a long time. As a result of this, most Genshin players have quit the game in favor of Honkai Star Rail, so that was reason number one. But then again, you can't really blame them, as I just said, it was already way more fun. Reason number two, the new Spiral Abyss. Since a lot of Genshin players has since played Genshin less, or never again, then there's less motivation to grind Genshin nowadays, which means not many people will actually put effort into trying to beat the new Spiral Abyss. But that's actually not the main reason why people aren't doing it anymore. It's also because the new Spiral Abyss is just an absolute shit show. No matter what you do, no matter how hard you try, the enemies in the current floor 12 are either just way too tanky or just keeps freezing you. And I'm very sure nobody is willing to sacrifice their fingers and sanity clicking their keyboards until they start sweating and breaking their mouse for 50 primogems. Especially fighting against that shield regenerating Inquisitor Baptist dickhead. Okay, that was a decently long rant, but you get the point. The new Abyss is just straight up dog water now. Because instead of making enemies stronger, they just said, hey, it'll be harder if they're harder to kill. Woohoo! Reason number three, terrible new characters. Let's take a look at the start of Sumeru characters, Tighnari, Collei, and Cyno. Tighnari has a decent amount of DPS output, I won't lie, so he's pretty much good to go. Collei, an okay Dendro applier, can't complain. But then we get Cyno. Now, as a Cyno owner myself, I can confidently say that maybe you shouldn't consider pulling for him, ever. Like, his character design is good, and he's a fun character, don't get me wrong, but you're better off just pulling someone like Raiden Shogun instead. Besides, Raiden is way easier to use anyway. And in case you did not know, Cyno is a selfish carry. Now what does that mean? He requires most of the field time during his ult. You're pretty much forced to keep him as your current on-field character until his ult ends. Then you can do your rotations again. It would have been better if Cyno remained in his ult even after you swapped out of him. Something like Noelle. Next, Dori. Skip. Nilou. Honestly, a really good Bloom DPS, can't complain with her. Nahida, in my opinion so far, is the most underwhelming Archon to be released. You have Venti that summons a freaking black hole. You have Zhongli that drops a meteor down to Earth. You have Raiden that no explanation needed. And then we have Nahida. Granted, she's cute, but all she does really is summon a ring. And I guess gives you more elemental damage, but you know, that's not that interesting. And sure, she can help with collecting materials as well, but like, I really don't see her used much nowadays. Like, I've talked with a lot of friends that own Nahida, and if you ask any one of them, they'll say they don't really use Nahida anymore. Candice. Does anybody actually use her? Wanderer is only moderately better than Kazuha for traveling. Damage-wise is decent, but nothing too strong or amazing. Faruzan. Again, I don't really see anybody use her often, or at all. Alhaitham. Again, nothing too amazing. Dea. Skip. And this is an assumer character, but I just want to point out. Baiju. A character that was extremely hyped for, with players begging for his release, only for his banner sales to be $3 million less than Dea's. What the hell? And now, my final reason, the current events in Genshin. Now, I think you can agree with me in saying that most of Genshin's events right now are getting really repetitive. It's always the same combat stuff, it's always the same whatever parkour, make your own domain, whatever. And then, you know, you have that god-awful TCG event that I can't be bothered to do because I don't really like TCG, I'm gonna be honest. Among many other things. And I'm sure the new events coming in 3.8 are probably not that bad, but personally it just doesn't interest me, and neither my friends either, so... And I will say it's definitely weird that we're not getting Golden Apple Archipelago for the next patch, but then again, you've seen how well that thing flopped during its rerun. But in conclusion, with all this information combined, I think it's obvious why I think Genshin will fail in the near future. And as a Genshin player myself, I can definitely say that with confidence. Unless Fontaine can do something that's extremely hype-worthy to bring players back, or maybe they'll release actually good characters, then it's not gonna be a huge thing for a while, or at all anymore. But hey, that's just my own thoughts. You may still enjoy the game, maybe not, I don't know. Feel free to comment your thoughts down below, I would gladly love to hear those thoughts, because I don't know what you guys think of the state of the game anymore. But yeah, that's all I really had to say about this game right now. I do hope they do something about all the repetitive gameplay, all the terrible Spiral Abyss endgame. So yeah, I'm just gonna say right now, if they don't do anything about it, nothing's gonna change. But in the end, remember this, Star Rail and Genshin are both games made by HoYoverse, so this doesn't really negatively affect them at all. Also, before I go, I just want to say thank you for 500 subscribers. Actually, more than that. I appreciate you all for subscribing, and I also thank you for all the support from the last video. I will say it's honestly really fun doing these types of videos, like, I just get to sit down here and then talk with you guys on the camera. So I appreciate all the newcomers coming into this channel, just to check it out a little bit. Anyway, that's all I really had to say. Love you all, see you next time I upload. Which is actually tomorrow, because I'm gonna be pulling for Locha and Honkai Star Rail, so keep an eye out for that one.